Hello everyone and welcome back to The Howl. I'm your host Chloe Manolis, and today I sat down with varsity boys volleyball players Justin Arrowood and Anthony Williamson. We discussed the start of the season, their first game against Fremd, and preparation for upcoming games. Thank you for joining us and we hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome back to The Howl. I'm your host Chloe Manolis, back with another episode. Unfortunately, we cannot have Naveen Samuel or Greg Caban here today, but we are pleased to have varsity boys volleyball players Justin Arrowood and Anthony Williamson in the Hershey Dispatch Studio. And of course, powered by Jet's Pizza. Now let's get right into it. Thank you guys, first of all, for joining me today.
Of course.
And we're just going to be talking about your recent game at Rolling Meadows and the Fremd game. So I just want to ask the first question, how did it feel to be back on the court?
You got it.
All right. I was excited for the high school season coming into it anyways, and it feels great to be back out there. Post-club season, that can be kind of stressful sometimes, and you're working with teammates that you might not be as familiar with. But coming back on the court, it's a great time working with people like Justin again.
What's the difference of the camp you mentioned than the games here?
Club, it's a lot of tournament after tournament after tournament. So you expect every Saturday or Sunday you're in on the court for 5 hours a day. And you do that 2 days in a row doing 3 or 4 games compared to school season. It's a lot more spaced out. You come in, you have people you're more familiar with, and then you're playing one game 3 nights a week and then occasionally a tournament every few weeks.
I bet that's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially going back to back like that. How are you, Justin? How was it for you?
I'm definitely thrilled to be back on the court. You look forward to it every year. As soon as the season ends, man, I can't wait to come back next year. Sadly, won't be feeling the same way because obviously it's the last year.
It's the last year, yep.
But man, you love playing with these kids and coming back out, there's no better feeling.
Did you guys definitely get a connection just since you've been on the team for what, since freshman year, correct?
Sophomore
year? Yeah. And you've gained a connection with all the players, right?
It's hard because every year that you see people graduate and you miss them, but then you get to see your friends come back every year and you're finally I've loved Nick for so long, and it's finally the first year I get to play with him. So it's something you get excited for and you look forward to every year.
100%. Mm-hmm. That is a great feeling.
I think the vibes are generally up a lot when the season comes around, and everyone's kind of excited.
You guys get all pumped up and hyped up for the game, yeah. Were there any expectations for this game, and what are your expectations for the rest of the season?
So specifically, no shot we're expecting to lose the first 2 games.
Yeah.
But I think it was just because we hadn't found our footing, and in the recent games we have, and we've just been rolling. So I think if we played those first 2 teams again, at the point that we're at right now, we're cooking them. It's not even close.
Not even close.
And so I'm looking forward to seeing those teams again that played us at our weakest and playing us now. It's gonna be a whole different game.
I mean, it was a very close score though. I think the first half was 26-28 and then 24-26. I'm pretty sure because I was there, and then I the whole time I was at the edge of my seat because you guys were really close. So, what were the are there any differences from last year and now as a whole team? How have you grown as a player?
As a team, I think last year I was just kind of I was bench varsity for almost the entire season. I just got brought up there, but I think the players are definitely a lot different this year. Last year it was there felt like there was a split on the team. It really felt like there were 2 different groups of people there who were kind of competing for spots, but it wasn't terrible. This year, I think a lot more people are a lot more comfortable with each other.
Gotcha, yeah.
And as a player, I do think I've grown. I was shoved into a position that I was not used to last year, and I didn't play a lot compared to this year where I did a whole club season playing as a lib. I did de-essing, and I've gotten a lot more comfortable with being faster and getting to the ball, so I feel I'm definitely better than I was.
You definitely got more confident with yourself and how the way you play. And what do you mean by spots? Specific spots in the team that you guys just made by yourselves, or was it just in general?
Not so much for the spots on the court, but more so it was kind of
spots on the court. Gotcha.
Yeah, spots on the court, and then it was kind of cliquey in the actual team too, where people like Richie, Krebs, Michael, all of them kind of had their own little section of the team. And then, I got along well with Alex and Aiden and, Naveen, Greg, who were already there too.
Gotcha. And I mean, I'm guessing it's just from maturity, right? Like, you guys are all seniors now, and I'm sure, like, back then it was a little rocky to start off with since you guys were just starting as a team, but now you guys are, like, grown with each other, you're used to each other, and it's just, like, you guys can bond in a way with the losers and the wins. Mm-hmm. And at the Fremd game, I was talking to a few of your guys' players, and they mentioned the rotation was a bit unusual. Can you elaborate on that and let me know what's happening with the substitution rotation now?
Yeah, so definitely in the beginning of the season, it wasn't ideal. Like, it was something that we just, like, thought we had to do. We thought, like, we're balancing our pros and cons, and it just wasn't working out in the first 2 games. And even the third game, you could just tell it, like, even though we got the win at Meadows on the third game, you could tell that, like, the things weren't as they were supposed to be. So
why didn't it work out?
I think we just had, like, spotty pieces in serve receive, and, like, that's kind of like the foundation of your offense. If you can't pass well, like, you can't really set anything up.
Yeah, gotcha.
And, like, that was kind of spotty, and Coach made good adjustments over, like, the last 2 weeks.
So it's better now.
It is much better. Mm-hmm. And so we're on, like, an 8-game win streak right now, and we're expecting to keep riding that. And I think a lot of it's due to, like, the good adjustments that our coach made.
Oh, definitely. And what are things that you guys, like, since then, what are things that you have improved, or what can you do to improve or keep an eye on for the future? And, like, how has your play improved since then, and where's your record at now?
Yeah, we're sitting at 8-2 right now.
Awesome.
So we started off 0-2, got 8 in a row. And, yeah, I think the biggest improvement over, like, all the games have been, like, our serve receive. Like, we really haven't struggled with anybody else's serves, like, compared to, like, our first few games. Like, there'd be long streaks where we just, like, couldn't get out of something.
Yeah.
Like, couldn't compete with somebody else's serve, and we just haven't faced that problem recently.
I also think we've had people who have generally just improved over the last few weeks. We had a few people who were struggling in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they've gotten their movements under control, and they've gotten their technique back in the swing of things, so they've kind of hit a flow and are really pulling themselves together.
I mean, it's been a busy year. I'm sure they just had to, like, get back on track with everything because, we're graduating soon, so it's, like, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, but that's good to hear that you guys are, like, getting back on track, and I'm sure the next games are going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah. We're going to keep winning.
Hell yeah. And then in the first episode, I discussed with Miss Ort and regarding the MSL championships, and if you guys are able to make it to the MSL this year, along with Barrington, are you guys ready to face them off again?
Yeah, I'm definitely waiting to get back. Like, it was a tough game last year, like, really competitive.
Yeah,
like
that's what I heard.
Those are the games that you live for. Like, it was just, like, a stacked, like, showing that night. Like, the vibes were high. And, like, sadly, we couldn't come away with a win, but, like, that just makes you want it even more next year.
Oh, definitely. Like, you want to win, the urge.
And,
what about you, Anthony?
So I just add on one last thing. Like, we're pretty confident in the East that we're going to, like, walk through everybody and get to the championship. But,
awesome.
like, the West over there is a little more complicated. Like, there's 3 teams that are fighting for it right now. Like, Conan, Fremd, and Barrington are all, like, competing a lot. So it doesn't matter who it is. We've all kind of got a grudge against all 3 teams. Like, Conan ended our season last year. Barrington beat us in the MSL, and Fremd, like, they were our first loss this season. So, like, no matter who it is, we're coming back with a chip on our shoulder.
Awesome. And, like, what, I wasn't there. I'm not really familiar with the whole MSL and the Barrington, but what even happened? Like, was it just, like, a really wonky game? Was, like, the score just, like, not what you wanted?
I think last year we came into it after beating them the first time and had our expectations for the game set a little too low for how they'd play, along with the fact that the person who was generally considered to be their best player was injured at the time. So when we went in there,
that gave you, like, luck?
Yeah, we had a little bit of false confidence there when we should have been playing a little harder than we were, and we really didn't catch on to what was happening until too late and let it slip through.
You weren't locked in.
Yeah, weren't locked in enough.
So then, but that, like, this time, if you guys do end up going to do the MSL, which I hope you guys do, you got to be locked in this time. Don't let it bring you down. And I wanted to mention your guys' most recent game at Rolling Meadows, and I hear that Greg got pulled out because of him getting injured. And how did that affect the first set and the remainder of the game?
Yeah, Greg is a valuable piece to lose, and it wasn't something that we've been through. Like, all of last year, like, neither me or Greg, like, got hurt. Like, we were playing every set
Yeah.
where they needed us to. And so, like, that was definitely diversity that I'm glad that we faced earlier in the season. So if it happens again with anybody later on in the season, like, we'll know how to pick up, like the slack when somebody else gets hurt, or like there's a piece missing that I think we'll be able to fix later on in the season, because like we faced it earlier in the season.
What'd you guys have, like, what happened when you got pulled out? What'd you guys do? Did you just have to get used to it and just, like, wipe it off the shoulder?
So we had Dylan come in. So he took a seat for a few minutes. Dylan came in, and this is not a role that like, Dylan's used to. Like, he's a great serve receiver, great like defender, but it's not a role that he's used to going into, like trying to like be a big part of our offense. And so he did a solid job, but it's definitely nothing that like, Greg's just phenomenal on offense. So it's definitely a piece that we're missing.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think in the back row you kind of get into like a rhythm with the people that you already have, and people get used to who's back there and keeping their own space.
Totally get that.
And throwing Dylan in there kind of threw a wrench into it for a second, especially when he slipped into front row there.
And it's unusual because, like, he's not usually there, and it was just, like, taking used to about it. Yeah. What would you guys do for, like, next time? What, like, you mentioned that you're just going to stay on your feet if someone, and you guys know what you're going to do if someone gets injured and that happens. What do you plan on doing? Do you have, like, a plan or anything? Like, you guys, like, all have, like, a plan together of what you would do?
Like, things have changed since, like, the Meadows game even.
Yeah.
And so I think we're in a more comfortable spot that if someone does get hurt or, like, something happens, that, like, we have a more comfortable base and, like, stability, that even if somebody needs to come in, that, like, it won't be a missing piece. Like, we won't even miss a step. Because I think we're good enough right now that even if something's going wrong, like, the rest of everybody else is like, confident enough that like, you won't even notice like a wrench in the road.
Oh, awesome. That's great. And I'm guessing because like he was injured like early in the game, like he won't take that long to heal, and he'll be back in the game for like the most recent games. So,
yeah,
awesome.
He's perfectly fine now.
Yeah.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good to hear. Would he be back in the next game?
Yeah, he came back like immediately later that game.
Oh, awesome. That's cool. Well, I have no more questions for you guys. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Man, I'd love to see some more the media coverage of the volleyball games.
Oh yeah, no, I'll
love to see that.
definitely be here next like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we got a game. Is Wheeling tomorrow? Is that home?
Wheeling tomorrow is home, and then we have BG on Thursday. Is that away?
I couldn't tell you.
What about Prospect? Because I know you guys have the Prospect game 16th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that home or Prospect?
I think Prospect's at Prospect.
I couldn't tell you, honestly. There's a lot of times that I don't look at whether it's home or away.
I totally get that.
Check the schedule in the morning of always.
Totally get that. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Justin. Thank you, Anthony, for joining me today, and thank you to Ryan Antonucci for producing for us today.
Thanks,
and I hope
Ryan.
you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next episode.
All right.